Hi everyone, my name is Rob Orr, clinical myotherapist and credentialed McKenzie therapist based in private practice in Coburg, East Melbourne. So the next exercise we're going to go through is an exercise called the Brugger. This is from Professor Brugger, a neurologist in Switzerland. So this is a really nice exercise to do just to show the client what ideal posture is all about. So I suppose it's based on a plumb line assessment. And it's all about getting the client to open up the chest and to contract those middle thoracic muscles like the rhomboids and middle trapezius. So it's a very good exercise for someone that's quite rounded through the shoulders or quite protracted through the shoulders, and someone who has a forward head carriage as well. So it's probably good for a lot of the population out there, especially if their lifestyle factors involve a lot of computer work, reading, or just a lot of stuff that they do that they always seem to be going forward, not going backwards. So it's a very nice exercise to do. I get my client just to stand nice and relaxed with their arms by their side. I then ask them to rotate their thumbs all the way out, so external rotation at the shoulders. And then I ask my clients to bring their shoulder blades together, and then down like so. And then I bring my chin in and hold. So right now I've opened up my chest, I'm elongating those myofascial structures, and I'm contracting my rhomboids and middle trapezius by having my shoulder blades together and bringing my chin in. I'm keeping my head in a nice ideal posture. So you could probably say maybe I'm even opening up the upper cervical area with those suboccipital muscles, because I'm going to a bit of chin retraction that flexes the upper cervical spine but actually extends the lower cervical spine. I'll hold that for 10 seconds and I'm not relaxed. I'll get my client to do it again. Thumbs out, shoulder blades together, down, pull the chin in, hold. Ask the client, where do you feel the stretch? What areas do you feel working? It's a great stretch to do, and ask them, how do you feel standing in that position versus in that position? Let's have a look at side-on approach. So I just stood side on. Same thing everyone, side on. So imagine a little bit like this, side on. Roll the thumbs out, open up the shoulders, blades together, down, chin in, stand tall, be proud. Hold for 10 seconds and ask the client where they're feeling that stretch. Once again, roll the thumbs out, shoulder blades together, down, chin in, and hold for 10 seconds. So I'd recommend this a couple of sets every day, up to 10 repetitions per set, and hold each one for 10 seconds. Thank you.
Hello from Associated Bodywork and Massage Professionals, the leading association for massage therapists in the United States. I'm Leslie Young and I'm ABMP's International Ambassador. I'm so excited about our new partnership with Massage and Myotherapy Australia. Now MMA members can join as ABMP Associate members at a deep discount and access more than 200 hours of online continuing education and other member benefits. So for more information, visit abmp.com/MMA. Together, we look forward to supporting you and your career.
Only uncover the leg you are about to massage. Hold the draping at the client's hip with one hand. Fold the lower part of the draping in a diagonal direction to lie across the mid-thigh and the leg not being massaged. Allow the draping to fall in the midline between the legs. On the side you're about to massage, tuck the draping into the leg band of the undergarment at the client's hip. Ask the client to bend their knee slightly. Pull the edge of the draping through from the midline under the bent knee. The client can then straighten their leg to rest on the table. On completion of the leg massage, re-drape the leg.
Well, I'm Joanne Clark from Destiny Pursuit Coaching and Training, and I'm an NLP trainer and a business coach. I did my diploma of coaching around about 10 years ago now, and from that I went into NLP as well. Prior to becoming a coach, I worked at the Transport Accident Commission, and I was working with catastrophically injured children, so with severe to moderate brain injury and spinal cord injury. And I was particularly fascinated in looking at the types of therapy that worked very successfully in the recovery and maximising the function of those children. So one of the things that I noticed was that people who were using NLP were getting much better results than people who weren't. Prior to that, I studied as a sociologist and a psychologist, so I did have some understanding of psych and the social context in which families were living and growing and dealing with injury. So I was really intrigued by NLP and the power it had to make a difference to those families. So NLP is Neuro-linguistic Programming. It's a discipline that developed in the 60s and 70s, and it sort of evolved out of linguistics, psychology, social work, and a little bit around family therapy and hypnotherapy. So the models that NLP was built on were from Milton Erickson, who's well known as the father of hypnosis in America, psychiatrist, Fritz Perls, who was an amazing psychotherapist, and Virginia Satir, who was a family therapist who got truly astounding results with very dysfunctional families. So these university professors went and studied those three experts in their field, because what they noticed about their techniques was they were very, very different. So from an NLP perspective, they codified the techniques being used by these three experts in their field. How that relates to us today is we learned not only about the wonderful work of Milton Erickson, Virginia Satir and Fritz Perls, but even more than that, we learned a really successful way to model from people who are leaders in the field and then deconstruct their strategies so that we can teach it to other people and replicate their results, which I think is pretty astounding. And you can use it in any field. We often hear about NLP techniques being used in with elite athletes. So strategies like visualization, thinking about the future and imagining how you want the future to be, as well as some other strategies like, I suppose in some ways, positive thinking, and just redefining our experiences from the past are some of the techniques that you use in NLP to assist people with. In my work with families where children had been seriously injured, what I noticed was a lot of the time the discussion and conversations that went on with therapists and medical practitioners, surgeons, specialists, was all about how the child was injured, what parts of the child didn't work anymore. And the parents were very, very focused in on that. It was almost like the body was seen as a machine that had broken bits. And the presupposition that was underlying all of those conversations was that they were powerless to do anything about it. Now, it is true that they were powerless to, repair the brain that was injured, however, at that time, neuroplasticity as a discipline was getting stronger and stronger every day. And what I was curious about looking at with these families was how we could maximise the function. So the language that they were being spoken to from their medical practitioners and allied health professionals was all about focusing on what couldn't be done. And the practitioners that I thought were getting pretty astounding results had a different approach. They were using NLP with a very strong focus on how we could build skill and capability given the limitations from the physical injuries that the child had endured. So I got really curious about that, and I thought, wow, imagine if we got all the health professionals in the whole world to focus on that instead. Because there's some things we can't change, but if we really, really look at how we can improve someone's quality of life, regardless of what injuries or disabilities or limitations they might have, how we can improve their life. If we've got strategies we can help them build that gives them better quality of life, then to me that's definitely a worthwhile venture. So when a new client comes into a therapist, obviously they're coming in for a reason, and often the reason is pain or lack of function, and they're looking at relieving the pain or improving the function. So one of the things I think is really important is to acknowledge for the client their real experience of the pain or the limitations they're experiencing, and then make sure that we're putting that information into a past context. So rather than saying, so if you were moving your limb like this tomorrow, if you were doing this tomorrow, what sort of pain would you have? Focusing on that pain being in the past. So yes, yesterday it was like this, and even today it might be, but tomorrow, what sort of improvements are you looking for? Or even in a week or 3 months or whatever, how do you want it to be? And let's set in place a goal for that improvement and get really clear about how they want it to be instead. Once you can get the client to focus on how they want it to be instead, you've already made a very significant cognitive change in their neural pathways. Instead of the electrical circuitry around the pain area of their brain firing up, they're focusing on the future and they're visualising an outcome that's different. Much the same as someone like Kathy Freeman in the Olympics visualised herself winning the race hundreds and hundreds of times. We're getting our clients to visualise how they want their future to be. And it's a very powerful strategy. If you do that straight up front, you'll really give a gift to your clients of a new possibility. When a client's coming in to see a therapist, obviously one of the first things they want to establish very quickly is a deep rapport with the client. Doing body work is an intimate experience. You know, you're touching people. And for some people that you might be the only person that's touching them all week or all month. So you want to be mindful of making sure you've got a very deep rapport with them and a trust. So there are some strategies for building rapport, even with people where perhaps it's not an instant thing. The first thing to notice is their physiology, and you would want to match or mirror their physiology. So if someone is sitting there talking to you and they're leaning in, then you would also just lean in a little bit. I mean, obviously not over the top, but you certainly wouldn't lean back, because then you're telling them that you're moving away from them. And unconsciously, they would take that as you not being comfortable with them or not in rapport with them. Another thing, a really cool thing to do, is to notice if they move fast or if they move slow. So if they move fast, then you wouldn't want to be dragging your feet. And if they talk fast or talk slow. If you have a client who comes in and speaks really fast, they say, look, I've got a sore back, I want a massage, I want to, you to fix it up and just make me feel better so I can get some quality sleep, then you would talk to them at that speed. You'd say, okay, I want you to hop on the table, we've got the towels here, I'll pop out of the room while you get ready and I'll come back in a few minutes and then we'll get on with the job. And so you'd kind of match the speed they're speaking with. Similarly, if they're a slow speaker, you're going to match that. The other thing to notice when we're getting really advanced with this is even things like breathing. It's particularly great for therapists, and I believe most massage therapists and myotherapists do this unconsciously, is if your client is breathing in a certain way, you'll notice your breathing is going into tune with them. So if they're breathing up here in their chest, and I'm banging on the microphone there, sorry. If they're breathing up here into their chest, then you'll notice your own breathing's adapting. And you want to match it, but eventually kind of get them to start doing some abdominal breathing, which might not happen until you're actually working on their body. But that's what you're looking for, that shift in their breathing. So that's a way to use physiology to build great rapport in an instant with your clients, which is pretty cool. Another part of having a great relationship with your clients is really listening to them. Most people are not used to actually being heard. We get into our busy lives and there's lots of hi, how are you? And no one listens to the response, or those transactional conversations. But to have someone who really hears not just what you're saying, but also what you're not saying. It's a gift that you have the opportunity to give when someone comes into your room to have you work on their body or, improve their health and well-being. So examples of that would be if someone does come in and they're talking about, the pain they've suffered or whatever, you can say something along the lines of, well, I can hear that must have been, that's been really a challenge for you, particularly over the last week. And when it's affecting your sleep, that must make it even harder to put up with. So you kind of pacing their experience. I also said been, so I used past tense, so I'm moving that experience into the past with them. Yeah. So you want to have your clients know that you're really hearing them. And the other thing to listen for, of course, is what are their beliefs around the pain. Some people will come in and they'll say, oh, there's nothing I can do about it. Now, another NLP technique that we use is one that uses submodalities. So submodalities are almost like if you describe the pain, would it have a colour? Would it have a shape? Is it moving or still? Where is it located in your body? What if you moved it a little bit? And you can change those submodalities of the pain. It doesn't make any big difference to the pain itself, but what it tells the client's unconscious mind is that it does have some influence over the pain. So if they describe the pain as red hot and they made it blue, and then you say, how's it feel now? Quite often they'll say, oh, it's a bit cooler. And their unconscious mind is kind of saying, wow, I can influence this pain. But it's in a way that's not telling the client, oh, of course you can make it, of course you can change it, of course, so it's not patronising in the sense, or confronting in the sense of telling them they're wrong. It's just using the power of the unconscious mind to have the client realise, I actually have more power over this than I thought. And once you've created that as a possibility, then you can begin to create other possibilities for them to consider and perhaps embrace at some point on their journey with you. In terms of building your career as a massage and or myotherapist, part of making sure you have I think I've referred to it in some of the articles in the journal as a brilliant career, is ensuring you look after yourself. And there's some different strategies for making sure you do that. So one of them is making sure you're aware of your own limiting beliefs. Beliefs such as it's hard work could mean that you're wearing yourself out. You might want to change that belief a little bit so that you could create a sustainable business for yourself or a sustainable career for yourself. And you begin to think, wow, this is sustainable and I'm in it for the long time because I love it. So many people don't do that sort of self-work and they end up sabotaging their own careers because they've got limiting beliefs around what's possible. Now, if you have limiting beliefs around what's possible, guess what? You're going to notice your clients have too. So I do think it's important that you do look at sustainability as one of the values to install in your business. When you are working on people's bodies, you're using your hands and arms and wrists and shoulders a lot. And it's important as you do that over and over and over again that you're making sure that you're looking after yourself. That way you can build a long-term career in this field. Some people build a career by stepping back from the hands-on work and expanding their business and having other people work for them. And that's an option as well. And again, I would say you need to do some internal work to make that happen because you need to make sure you've got on board a good coach or someone who can help you with business strategy so that you can then build your business in a sustainable way as you expand and take on other people. One of the things with NLP, lots of people are familiar with NLP techniques that are used in sales. And it is true that a lot of people are taught how to use NLP to be successful at sales. Particularly in America, it was a very, very dominant model of sales. The thing is that it's one little component of NLP, and it's been taken out of context. And one of the things that I'm very passionate about with NLP is looking at the ecology framework in which it's being used. For me, it's a great tool to use ecological, but like any tool, it can be used for evil, not good. So my passion is to make sure that professionals who are interested in using NLP make sure they get good quality training in it, and they apply it with a strong ecology frame. So it's good for your client, good for you, good for the greater good, rather than just a transactional process to get a great sale or boost your income model. You can have a look for NLP trainers on the Australian Board of NLP site. They list NLP trainers that they recognise as doing high quality training. And I also deliver practitioner and master practitioner training all over Australia. So if you're interested in doing NLP practitioner, which is a 7-day training, or master practitioner training, which is a 9-day training, then by all means feel free to contact me. Or look on the Australian Board of NLP site and you'll find a trainer near you who is reputable in the field and does deliver the work. I would not recommend going onto an online training or doing a sort of a short quickie course, a couple of days, unless you've got no other option. Because it really does mean you could end up in a position a bit like the salespeople using NLP, in that you don't really know the full ramifications of the techniques you're using and how they can impact on people's lives.
How do I change associations? Making the decision to change associations can be a difficult choice. Some questions you might ask yourself: are my current associations' values the same as mine? Do I get what I need for my business and career? If the answer is no, then maybe it's time to join Massage and Myotherapy Australia. You can find a list of qualifications the association recognises on massagemyotherapy.com.au/join-now. To join, download an application form via the Massage and Myotherapy Australia website. Include in your application a list of your current active provider numbers. There may be a slight disruption when your previous association cancels numbers. If this occurs, contact us as soon as possible. If you include evidence of your current association membership, Massage and Myotherapy Australia may provide you with a discount. Don't hesitate. Join Massage and Myotherapy Australia, the Association of Professional Therapists.
Hi there, I'm James. I'm a business coach for massage therapists with Massage Champions, and my background is actually as a marketer and a designer. And I want to speak with you today about something that's really close to my heart, and this is brochure design for massage therapists. Because a lot of the clients that we work with create a brochure, either for their clinic or to be able to give out to people locally, put in local community stores, that kind of stuff, to be able to get people to come in. And what I see is that so many people design brochures in a way that's not really effective for the result that they want to get. And so what I'm going to teach you today is a really, really simple acronym that you can use when you're designing a brochure to be able to help you understand why we design it for what we do and what outcome you expect to get from it. And this acronym is called AIDA, A-I-D-A. The very first A is for attention. A brochure is actually about getting attention, especially the very front cover. It's about getting attention. You don't want to have heaps of information on there. You don't want to have lots of tiny little dot points of writing, anything like that. Attention is number one, because without attention, people won't even pick the brochure up. So we want to make sure the front cover has like a nice photo of you, of the clinic, something like that, a very simple headline that clearly says the modality that you do. A massage, if you can use that word, use it. It's very well known, easily understood. And maybe the business name and logo as well, but that's all you need on the front cover because that gets attention. Number 2 is interest. You want people to actually look at the brochure and go, oh, this looks like something I'd be interested in. That means you need to understand the problems that your clients are having, the things that are gonna tick their boxes, and actually put some of that there. We don't go straight to prices. First, instead, put a little something around this massage can be great for elderly who need to improve mobility, or people who work at desks and get stiff and sore backs. Whatever it is that your clients are going to connect with, that's going to raise their level of interest, make sure that you put that in that opening fold or somewhere that's really obvious inside the brochure. And then 3D is for desire. We actually want to make people want this. Yeah, they can see that it's got attention, they're interested in what it is, but then they've got to actually want it. That can happen through doing things like testimonials, putting a little review from someone in there, or through having a really beautiful photo of what it looks like to receive this treatment. If it's a relaxing day spa kind of treatment, there's fantastic photography you can get around that. Even if it's a more sort of sports or therapeutic treatment, you can have those sort of photos in there as well. That's a great way of raising desire because people relate so well to that and they're like, hey, I want one of these. And then the fourth letter A is for action. That's actually telling the people what can they do next. Now this might include a little block that has pricing, but it's definitely got to include a phone number or a website or some way that they can actually book. And what I see is that so many people devote heaps of their brochure to pricing. It's like just a list of all the products, all descriptions of them all the different names, and every single one has a price and a length, and this is what it is for 30, 60, 90 minutes. That sort of stuff is kind of important at the later stage. But at the start, people first want to know that they actually want it. So I would say for most of the brochures that I see come in, I tell people, use one word instead of 10, wherever you can. Just cut down the words, put more photos in, use headlines and dot points more effectively, and connect in with people's interests and desires before you start talking about prices and actions. And if you're doing that, you'll also notice that your brochure has a lot more space, a lot more just blank areas, a lot more white space, a lot more photos. That's good too. It means people are going to look at it. It looks easy, it looks attractive, and that encourages people to go through the process. So remember that acronym AIDA: attention, interest, desire, action. And as you're designing your next brochure, just have a look at it within that framework and say, hey, is this doing what I need it to do so that I can get the outcomes that I want from this piece of marketing?